Hi everyone, it's Melissa with The Creative Season. Welcome to this Christmas mini-series, Creating Through Christmas, celebrating the gifts of 2022. In this first watercolor journal style painting, we are celebrating Immanuel, God with us, and the way that God has been with us, our communities, our churches, our families throughout the year. So grab your paint, watercolor, your favorite colors, and a paper towel, and let's paint this special painting together. Hi everyone, well we are starting in the week of Christmas, our mini-series, Creating Through Christmas, celebrating the gifts of 2022, and we are going to be starting out with this first one is candles. We're going to be going to floral tomorrow, but I wanted to start the week with something very, very simple, and the whole goal with this week is that you could carve out 15 minutes of quiet creating, journaling, reflecting, and just getting away for a little bit, writing these out, having some time to reflect on the gifts of the year. And so what we're going to do is, you see I have just sketched out 5 candles. I have put the verse, we're focusing on Immanuel today, and I'm going to start painting around. You want to make sure you have a paper towel because we're going to do some blotting. But the theme for today is Immanuel, God with us, that promise in the Old Testament that there would be that Mary would have, the Virgin would conceive and bear a son, and they would call his name Immanuel. It shows up in Isaiah twice. And then in Matthew, when the angel visits Joseph in the dream. And so we're going to talk about that and paint this. So what I want to do is we're going to start out, choose what colors you like. I'm going to use blues and pinks and purples and greens for this one today. And I'm actually going to start here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to start splattering. You see I've sketched out with Micron pen, and then after it dries, I'll end up doing some writing. But go ahead and take one of your darker colors, such as a blue, and just splatter around. And I'm gonna do splattering around so that way when we write on this, it's gonna have some texture to it, but it's not gonna be completely dark. And so what I'm gonna do is after I splattered some blue, I'm also gonna come back, and if I'm gonna grab, I have got a pink here, so I'm gonna grab my rose permanent pink, and I'm gonna splatter some of that too, just in a couple places. And one of the things I wanted to do is I really didn't do Advent this year, as far as I was going to get candles and all the things, and that did not happen. I was thinking about it. So we're going to kind of incorporate some of the Advent, the waiting, into this painting. I had done that last year, but then the more I thought about it, I thought, okay, so now before I taught, blot around where the flames are going to be. So just blot around where the flames are going to be. I want to actually create a bit of a softness around the flames anyways, and a bit of a contrast, while the rest of everything else is creating a bit of that splatter. So again, I've blotted that out pretty good around here. Okay, so now that we're going to do that, we're going to start painting in our candles. I want them all to be distinct colors so they're separate from one another. One of the things I was thinking about is what I wanted to reflect on and think about, and was doing some prayer. I'm going to pick up some green, is that promise of God with us. It was promised many hundreds of years before Jesus was actually born. And Jesus, Immanuel, means God with us. And that's a pretty amazing promise. I can't think of another God in any other religion that is promised to actually be with his people, his followers. And so it's a precious promise. I'm just going to start painting one of these candles green. And one of the most precious things to me has been I have never been alone, as I've walked with the Lord, of that realization. He is with me. What a precious promise. Apparently Immanuel is only used 3 times in scripture, and yet the promise of God with us was fulfilled in Jesus. And I love that the last words that we have recorded of Jesus saying to his disciples, and I just had put down here in the bottom, I'll move in a little bit closer, is Matthew 28:20, when Jesus promises to his disciples, behold, I will never leave you. He fulfills the prophecies about him. He reminds them, I'm never going to leave you. And so as I was thinking about that, I was thinking about what that meant, and I was thinking, okay, where have I seen God this year? Where have I seen him with me or with others? And so I have 5 candles, and I was going to, each candle, once it dries, I'm going to, in my reflection time this week, I'm going to write and just journal and pray and think, where has God showed up in my church community? I'm pretty active in church and in prayer group, and where have I seen God show up and be with us in our church, in the church community? Another way I am looking at is, where have I seen God show up and be with us in my extended friend and family community? And then another candle is going to represent my immediate family, those that I see very, very often. Another candle is going to be personally, where have I seen God show up in my life? You know, where has he shown up personally to me? And just going to spend some time letting him bring back memories of this past year, or even what I have top of mind. And then the fourth one, so I said church community, family, myself personally, my friends, and then in the world, where have I seen God work in the greater world? Either stories I've read, perhaps people who can have told about what's going on in other countries, what's going on in other organizations that I've listened to. And one of the reasons I think this is important to do these exercises like this is because it's so important to remember the good, how God has kept his promises. It's so easy to forget. And when I forget and get focused on the here and now, things can look very jaded and very dark sometimes. And yet there is that command, especially in Deuteronomy, when the people of Israel are receiving the instruction from Moses. And one of the instructions is, remember and teach your children. Don't forget the good promises of the Lord. Because when we forget, man, that is when things really go astray. And I know in my own life and in lives of those around me, I can certainly attest to that. So that's kind of a little bit of my thoughts right now. Okay, we've got a pink, we've got a green. I'm going to go in, I'm going to get a purple here. And then of course we're going to add in our yellow, but I want everything to dry a little bit. You notice too, where am I going to put my purple? I think I'm going to put my purple right here, that I am leaving some white space. I don't want everything too dark. You can also, I will be using a micron pen later, or you could, if you have darker colors like this, I can use a white gel pen and write in a white gel pen. And these really are meant to be personal, to be reflective. Something simple too you could do with your family. I don't have children, but I could, bring this with maybe some younger siblings in my family, or maybe some friends. But if you have children, this might be a wonderful exercise to do together as the family. You'll notice my colors are merging. That's kind of the beauty of this painting too. I'm specifically this week creating paintings when there's so much pressure to have so many things done. The paintings are going to be, for the most part, really loose and no pressure. And if the colors merge, that's kind of adding to the beauty, because we don't need pressure this week, right? There's lots of other stuff going on. We do need times, again, just some quiet creating and thinking, reflecting, enjoying just the good gifts of the year. Even the hardest year, there's still really good gifts. All right, I'm going to pick up some. I think I'm going to do another pink candle, and I might just add another color to it. So I'm going to do another pink one back here and move that around. We might even dip in a bit of purple to create some contrast. And you could do less candles, you can do more candles, whatever you want. You can make this very, very personal to you. The goal of this, again, is just we are creating through Christmas. We are going to do for the Wednesday, the normal Wednesday video, I am going to do a floral tomorrow. I think we're going to be painting an amaryllis. I know after I just said everything's going to be nice and easy, but we're going to do it very simple. And there's so much symbolism with the beautiful amaryllis flowers. I just think they're incredible flowers and want to incorporate that into Christmas this year. All right, now I'm going to add just a tad bit of purple into the pink on the palette, and then just dip it in here to create some shadowy bits. That looks really nice. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to bring the more I'm actually going to use a blue over here for this last candle, and I'm going to bring that blue in. And I have two flames. It was a 2-flame candle. It got a little bit big, I realized, as I was sketching. And moving that around, sketching, and you can see it's coming up very nice. Okay. And I'm just coming down like this. Okay, so now what I'm going to come through, we're going to add in the yellow. Add in the yellow for the flames. And I'm going to gum through here, and we're going to add in some pink too. Make sure that your yellow is pretty wet. And if you're picking up some of the blue that's sparkled, not a big deal. Not a big deal. We're going to keep it pretty wet. And then what we're going to come over here and do is I'm going to grab a little bit of the pink, and we're just going to drop that in. I don't want to bring an orange in and add another color. And as you can see, this will be really, really nice. This will move around really nicely, and we're going to let that go. Now down below here, if you're going to be writing, we might want to leave it light, but let's go ahead and add some splatters. So I'm going to just take the green. And again, all these colors are pretty complementary. Now the pink and the green, they may turn to brown, so that may be a regret. But actually, I kind of like it as everything fades a little bit. So I'm going to come back now, and I will mostly let this dry. I'm going to let it dry now, and then I can come back. I can add the writing. I'll add some notes onto the actual candles. I may even write a prayer, just thanking the Lord, of thank you that you are Immanuel, God with us. Thank you for the way you've been with me this year. You've been with my family through the good times, through the bad, through the hard times, and just kind of express yourself on the painting. Come back if you want to add another layer of splatters. That would be lovely. But here we are, just 11 minutes in. A very simple and yet a beautiful painting. Again, hopefully this is a time to just some joyous reflection and celebrating. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to see you tomorrow. These are just very brief videos this week, inviting you to create through Christmas, celebrating the gifts of 2022. And this today has been celebrating Jesus as Immanuel, God with us, and taking account of all the ways he is with us. So thank you so much for joining me. I will see you tomorrow.